Hey everyone. Let me put you guys on one of the 700 screens that I have here.
Wait, do I need to bin you or...
No, it should be fine.
Okay.
I'm just really praying that the hello. Really praying that the GoPro
Hello.
works.
We pulled you straight from work.
Yeah, literally. Right, you can start. Go ahead. I think,
Okay.
or if you want to wait a few more minutes, usually for like more people to show up, it's up to you.
No, I've been doing a bit of a blabber till you came. killing some time.
Yeah.
I think they had enough of that. You can go ahead.
Okay. Let me pull up actually the few pictures I wanted to share. Which are, to be honest, there are more pictures of me receiving awards.
Okay. Oh, the credibility building section.
Yeah. The street cred. Gotta get some
Okay.
street cred first. Yeah, let me just prep, and then I'll say what I was preparing to say.
Okay, we have 40 people. That's nice.
Yeah. Hey, good to finally see you too. I was trying to grab my ctf.ae hoodie. I ended up grabbing my black hat hoodie. I mean, when you own like 10 different black hoodies, they all look the same. So.
Oh, black hat is good.
Yeah, black hat is good. All right. I guess let's start with
let's get started.
Start with an introduction. So my name is Youssef Awad. Youssef Awad, if you want to say the Arabic pronunciation. I graduated from AUS with a major in computer engineering and a minor in computer science. Graduated around 2 years ago, and I think some of you might know me from some of my work at AUS. CRNotify, if you've heard about it. Some of you might have been in uni when I was there. I had to take it down though. We'll talk about that. Banner Plus, if any of you have used that Chrome extension, I wrote out of sheer anger with how hard it is to use Banner. And I think if you probably, I don't know, I think I'm old. I don't know, I'm 23 now. My birthday's next month. I think I'm already old and withering and disappearing. Could have heard my name a couple of times around university. I think there's a very famous long message that I did, like a rant after I took a course called VR with Dr. Hisham, beautiful professor. I love Dr. Hisham, but the course was not very merciful, I would say. So there's a long, very famous message going around about me. But yeah, so let's get started. Who am I? Why am I here? And why are you listening to me talking? Who am I, right? So I think let's just start at the very beginning. Let me just share my screen. I don't know which screen it's gonna end up being. I have 3 screens, which is like extremely important for anyone who wants to get into computers. By the way, one screen, that's only gonna last you a couple of years before you start being very annoyed. All right, so a lot of people, when they hear about my journey in cybersecurity, so right now let's just start at the end. Right, let's just bring us to the end of my journey, like what I'm doing currently. So currently I have my own cybersecurity CTF company. So CTFs, they're called Capture the Flag, right? So those hacking competitions you hear about, I used to play them. Now we make them. So now I run a company called ctf.ae. I have a friend of mine who's a co-founder. We've been running this company since I graduated, pretty much. We're doing Black Hat. We did Black Hat in Saudi Arabia last year. We're going to do Black Hat in Saudi Arabia this year. Dubai Police last year, Dubai Police this year. Just a bunch of, we're working with some of the biggest, I can say, pieces of the government to do these cybersecurity events. And the company, alhamdulillah, is growing, right? That is my company. At the same time, I have a day job in which I work as a penetration tester. So my job, essentially, as a penetration tester is I am assigned targets and I have to hack them. And I write reports. I mean, I keep, if you guys wondering why I keep looking to the right, it's because the Google Meets is on the right. Should probably just put the camera here, whatever. But yeah, so my job is to assess targets for cybersecurity vulnerabilities, right? Regardless of what they are. And these targets could be anything from mobile apps, physical networks, buildings, sometimes even concepts. So I work with a very big, flexible range of things to assess, and also at the same time work with a large range of government entities and private entities also. So that's what I do in the morning. As you can see, my job is all over the place. And at the same time, whenever I have the free time, I have every normal hobby on the planet. I mean, I hang out with my friends excessively, I play video games excessively, and I procrastinate excessively. I don't know, you see in the corner, there's like a monitor sitting. That's a home server. I built this home server for fun, because that's something that is fun for me. Yeah, just regular. I realize I've been sharing an empty screen this whole time. Let me at least put some pictures for you, just so that you can understand. Google something. All right, so let me drop picture number 1 here. Hello, you look, it's me. This is me, obviously, taking a picture with His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti. He's the Minister of Cybersecurity in the UAE. This was taken in GITEX Africa. This is a medal that is given to me by the UAE government, alhamdulillah, for our contributions for running a CTF. So we ran a CTF under the banner of the UAE government in GITEX Africa. And so this is one of the events that we did, right? I actually know Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti is an amazing guy, mashallah, and that's actually a story. That's actually a story. So a lot of people ask me how I started, right? How did I start my journey into cybersecurity? And I can actually show you a picture. Let me just grab this here. I'm trying to make the pictures get in chronological order. Where did I start? So I started in high school. I was 16 years old. Back then, the government had a program called CyberQuest. And this government program was designed to recruit people who were in high school. I knew nothing about hacking. I knew nothing about computers. I knew nothing. I was just your average high schooler. You know, all I care about is the YouTube videos I'm going to watch at the end of the day. I don't know who I am, what I want to do, nothing. And so CyberQuest picked me up. They took us to a camp and they trained us for a month, like a whole month of trainers given to you by the UAE government, and then it's a big competition. When I say big competition, I mean big competition. TV cameras everywhere. It's a whole stage set up. They actually did kind of like 3D character versions of us that would like walk up on, like you'd see yourself walk up on this like big screen. And we had a CTF, a capture the flag competition. A CTF is a type of contest in cybersecurity where the flags, you can think of them, are like files or pieces of text hidden inside of a service that you have to hack this service to extract this flag from. So capture the flag is kind of like how many things can you hack, all right? So you can see me, I went to CyberQuest when I was in 2017. I went as a grade 11 student and I won. I won first place. Oh, 2016 actually. Yeah, I won first place. Look at me. I look very young and weird and young. Before my mustache and my beard, and when I had a hairline, Allah yarham my hairline, and I won this competition, first place, right? And so this is kind of what boosted my interest in cybersecurity, right? This is kind of what set it up. This is when I was like, okay, I like this. This is fun. Just like this adrenaline, like when you hack into a machine and like you break things for fun. So I continued with CyberQuest. I joined AUS, and there was another CyberQuest in my first year of AUS, and I won again. So, alhamdulillah, I won. The second time I went to CyberQuest, I won first place. Me and some people from AUS went with me as well. And like, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say like this was big money event. Like this booth you see here. So our team was called DDoS, or DDoS. And like in the second iteration of CyberQuest, we had to defend systems. So you see these hexagons, the ones that are lit up are the systems we managed to defend, and the hexagons that are like unlit are the systems that we failed to protect. And we were sitting behind this screen. So like you can imagine, like we were sitting behind this, and as we were trying to rush to protect our systems, these hexagons would like light up and like go down or like light up. So yeah, let's see what else is here. I'm gonna cut this bragging short again. Okay, I went to Dubai Police. I won first place in 2017. What else? This was a competition to go to, you can see the Arab Regional Cybersecurity CTF. So you had to win in the UAE and then go fight against the best of the best in Africa. So I won in the UAE, and then I did not win in the Africa one because, mashallah, you'd be surprised. Many people are very talented, mashallah, in this field. For some reason, I have a habit. I'm doing it right now. You see, I have a habit of doing this. You'll see a lot of pictures of me doing this. Like this is me in Africa, and then this is me in Dubai Police, and then this is me in CyberQuest. I have a habit of doing that. I just realized going through the pictures, I have a habit of doing that. Anyway, my most recent achievement is, of course, I've stopped playing CTFs for a while. Unfortunately, I still do like in my spare time because I'm too busy organizing the CTFs, right? So now this is me in Amsterdam. We were organizing a CTF called Hack in the Box.
Youssef,
yes.
Can you tell us like what's a CTF? What is it like in general?
Oh, okay, sure. I thought I explained, but yeah, I didn't cover too much.
I think they don't have a base like easy to explain, but like you need to get an idea.
The topics, yeah. Sure. Yeah, let's just minimize this so I can focus. So a captured flag competition, they come in two styles. Let's say Jeopardy, which is what I'll focus on for today, and attack and defense is kind of a bit, a bit complicated to explain. So Jeopardy style CTFs. Actually, I think I could show you. Does anyone know any like long running CTFs I could open? Could probably open
Pico CTF maybe.
Yeah, Pico is good. Or look at me researching Pico CTF infrastructure because I wanted to copy them. Can I play? Hello?
Go to practice. I think there's a Pico gym.
All right. Oh, God, I gotta log in.
Okay. You need to.
Yeah. I just want to show off the categories, right? And like Jeopardy CTF have the site. Jeopardy. Okay. Hello. Here I am. Let's go practice. Thank you. I've been here before. Trust me. Right. So let's go to web exploitation. So you see these categories here on the side: web exploitation, cryptography, reverse engineering, forensics, general skills, binary exploitation. Right. So these are the general categories that you'll see in a cybersecurity competition, a CTF. And let's say something like web exploitation. You see these challenges; they're boxes. This is what we call Jeopardy style. I don't think any of you have seen the TV show Jeopardy, where they have categories and they have boxes and they pick the box and they solve the question. That's why we call it Jeopardy style. So let's say get ahead, whatever. This is the challenge, right? And you'll get a description, you'll get number of points. I get 20 points if you solve this, and you'll just deploy the challenge or a link or whatever. In this case, it's web exploitation, so you're hacking websites. So let me explain the categories. You have web exploitation, in which you are hacking websites. You have cryptography, in which you're trying to break encryptions. You're trying to break anything that has to do with cryptography, not just encryptions, hashing, timing attacks, anything that has to do with cryptography, literally, the field, right? You have to know a lot of math to do that, which is why I don't like cryptography. Reverse engineering is all about taking a piece of software and understanding what it does. So if you like debugging, assembly, low-level code, it's not always assembly, but oftentimes it is. That's reverse engineering. Forensics is more on the investigative side. Like we'll give you, for example, a bunch of logs of something that happened in a network, and we'll tell you some crime happened here. Can you figure out what's the attacker IP address, what they wanted, how did they get into the system, what users were compromised? So that's kind of forensics, right? Analyzing and like criminal investigation type of things. General skills could literally be anything. And binary exploitation I think, is one of the most beautiful categories. But it's more about literally exploiting the very, how can I say this? Like the very workings of an operating system, how the stack works, how the heap works. It's all buffer overflows. If you hear those words like in iPhone vulnerabilities all the time, like a buffer overflow, buffer overrun, write out of bounds, read out of bounds, stuff like that. So it's very low level technical type of stuff is binary exploitation. So in a CTF, you can play either as a team member, right? Or as a team or single, and you go in, and usually it's like what, 8 hours, 24 hours. Some CTFs run for a month. That doesn't matter. You go in and you solve the challenges. As many challenges as you solve, the more points you get. Of course, if a challenge is harder, you get more points. If a challenge is easier, less points. And that's essentially what a CTF competition is. It's just you going and picking challenges of a category and solving it, hacking it, right? And we'll talk about that more. I think that's enough of me talking about myself. Really, I don't really think there's anything useful here. The last thing is just a screenshot of this is the workshops that I used to give when I was at AUS. So for the 4 years that I was in AUS, I would give workshops like this um, every weekend. And then I think one of my most proud moments here is the time I actually managed to go to a security conference and give a talk about a piece of research that I discovered. So it was an attack that I discovered, and I built a small little gadget that you could plug into a Windows laptop. You would steal the credentials from a locked Windows laptop, and like it took like 30 seconds. And I think that was one of my most, still till now, this is like 2020. I was still a senior student at the time. Still one of my proudest moments. All right, ignore this. So let's talk about my job, cybersecurity in general, and how does it, like, what skills do you need to get into? Like, again, I talked a lot about cybersecurity. It's cool. It's awesome. Great. I mean, stop bragging and tell me what I need to do. Sure, fair point. So a lot of you are freshmen or just starting your journey at AUS in your second year. And I just told you a lot of things that might make you feel like you're already behind, right? Like I just told you I was in grade 11 and I won my first competition. Does that mean it's hopeless for me? I should switch to business and do basic math all day? No. Uh, I think that anybody could do what I do, if not even better. Okay? Anybody. What you need to do is just the right mindset. You guys, mashallah, you're in a time where there is such an insane amount of knowledge available online. When I was like there's Try Hack Me, there's Hack the Box, there's all that stuff. When I was starting back in 2018, like I had books. Do you know how boring it is to read a hacking book? Like because you like I have the book in front of me and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I have to like type while I'm holding the book up to my face. There was no this interactive environment where you could just like learn any skill easily. I think I'm gonna stop sharing the screen until I have something useful to share because you can just like look at me. Um, so what does my job do? I'm gonna tell you exactly a day in my job. I wake up and I look at what's my target, what project am I working on? Let's say it's a mobile app. Let's say it's, I don't know, some RTA parking app. That's my job. I just sit and I'm like, how am I going to break this app? How? I sit and I study the application. I open it up and I start like, exploring it. And I just sit and it's just a puzzle. It's just like solving a Rubik's Cube. It's almost like playing a video game. You have an objective. Your objective is to hack this in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, in cybersecurity, it's okay if you don't find any bugs. Like my boss is not going to fire me if I don't find anything, right? Some things are sometimes just locked tight, but it's a personal challenge. That's where the fun comes in. It's like, I'm going to break this. I'm going to hack this. I'm going to make the person who like coded this app regret that they ever learned a line of code. I'm going to criticize everything in this app. Okay. And so you take it as a personal challenge, and that's where the fun starts. Let's say you found a bug that lets you, I don't know, lets you view the fines of any user. Bingo, you're in. Have some fun. Write a Python app that like lists the parking fines for like 100,000 different people in the UAE. Take a nice screenshot of it and put it in your report. You're writing a report. The goal of the report is to scare the living bejeebus out of the person who's going to read this report. Okay, you want them to know that like you could have destroyed everything, you could have burned the whole place down, and you're a good guy, so they're lucky, And that's the point. That's what I do in my reports. There's you always use these like very extreme exaggerations, like if this was done by a cyber criminal, this would have resulted in the complete loss of intellectual property at ABC Corporation, and everyone will die and the economy will collapse. Give me a second. not worry. When you're like me and you live in a house with 5 other people, personal space becomes something that you dream of in your wildest dreams. Anyway, um, so yeah, so that's my job, right? And it's fun. It's fun because one day you're doing it. Like, what do most people get bored of in a job, right? You get bored of routine. You get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. But guess what? This job is nothing like that. One week I'm doing a mobile app. One week I'm doing a network. One week I'm trying to physically break into a building, and it's like this the coolest thing ever. Like you have a small device like a Wi-Fi jammer, like in your backpack, and like you walk into the reception of a building and you jam the Wi-Fi, and you hope the receptionist goes away like to check what's wrong with the Wi-Fi. Slither in, and sometimes you're like today, what I did, where I was all the way in Abu Dhabi for for work, and then like I had to come back from Abu Dhabi to give you guys this workshop. So you're never bored because the field is always evolving. So that's go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it okay if I interrupt you if we like?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So okay, for the people who are not interested into the offensive or like they don't want to be hacking stuff, they're more interested in like securing stuff. Like, do you have like any other specializations, different fields of security that might be good for them? Maybe they're not even interested in technical parts of security. They just like the concept, but they don't want to be technical. What can these do?
Security without technical, that's a very interesting challenge. That's
Maybe compliance,
yeah, PCI compliance and stuff. PCIe compliance.
business side. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let me talk about defensive at least. That's a good point. See, I ramble all the time. You're gonna have to interrupt me if I ramble. Like you have to catch me.
Sure.
That's why I feel like. Yeah. So let's say you don't want to break things. Let's say you're not a sadist like me and you just want to destroy everything. Okay. Let's say you want to be on the front lines, especially if you're very passionate about your country. You want to be on the front lines. Like nowadays, everything is connected, right? Like just like yesterday, I think we heard Sony got hacked, right? And like everybody's scrambling around to figure out what happened, like what's leaked from Sony, right? I have my credit card linked to Sony, so like what's gonna happen? I don't know if you guys have been seeing, if you've ever been to Zahia, they run the Zahia Mall in Sharjah. They run these ads to like raise awareness, don't fall into phishing and stuff like that, because the bad guys are everywhere. They're constantly looking for ways to just extort companies, extort you personally. So what if you want to be on the front lines of defense? So we have defense is where things kind of open up into many different things. We have SOC analysts, which is what this, if you're in the WhatsApp group for this club, it's called the SOC, the SOC group, and that's Security Operations Center. So SOC analysts, they sit and they have like, I wish I had a picture of a SOC, and you could just Google SOC Analyst Center. It's like 20 monitors like spread on a wall, and you're just watching for alerts, because the moment an attacker does something like this machine reported a malicious connection coming from Russia, you jump on it. You're like an investigator that's rushing on the case. That's SOC analyst. There's threat analysis. Threat analysis and threat hunting. You are responsible for protecting, let's say, Oil Corporation X. You need to sit and be tapped into the latest cutting edge news. What new hacking groups are out there? What new exploits are out there? And am I, as an organization, vulnerable to this? Is this group financially motivated to come after my assets, right? And now I apologize if I don't know much about the defensive side. I find the defensive side, for me, like it wasn't really my piece of cake, but I wouldn't say it's a completely different side of cybersecurity, but they kind of come from the same root. Like you have to know there's like a big common ground. Like oftentimes, you'd be surprised. Oftentimes, so my company, Malcrove, we have SOC teams. We have defensive. We call them blue team. And then there's me, penetration testing, that's red team. We oftentimes sit together and we have conversations. And we have these like, playful conversations like, oh, I managed to get around your antivirus rules this week. And the guy from the blue team will be like, oh, I'll push an update this weekend. And then I'll spend all weekend trying to break through the antivirus rules. It's like this playful banter. And so if you're more of the defensive side, You want to be able to crush criminals and stop them and build. Like, look at AI right now, right? Like OpenAI just announced that GPT-4 has the ability to hear, see, and like talk. Believe it or not, I actually use these LLMs, these AI tools, to make phishing scenarios based on every single user in a company. Can you imagine a company with like 200 people and you all get 200 different phishing emails? Like they're not targeted. Like usually with a phishing email, we used to get these tests in AUS, right? Where like you get this weird email that tells you, oh, wallah, if you log into your banner, we'll give you 50 dirhams off talabat, you know, and at an AUS student, as a struggling AUS student, this was like, you know, heaven on earth. So like you'd pull up the email and you'd be like, oh guys, you know, you can log in, and then someone else says, oh, I got this email too, someone, and then like something's weird. Like, you know, we're like 15 people on this table, we all got the email, and like, you know, it falls apart quickly. Right? There's usually like a misspelling in the email or something like that, right? But imagine using the tools of, so a lot of people think that AI is going to take over tech, right? First off, AI is never going to replace cybersecurity. I'm telling you this, okay? People are too, I want to use nice language. People are too lazy to do things the proper way. So there's always going to be that one guy who has his passwords on the desktop labeled passwords.txt, and it's like the whole company passwords since 2009. Right? These people are always lazy. Like, why would I bother doing a password? Like, you'd be surprised. I run into situations where the password policy of a company is like 9 characters, 5 symbols, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get any of these passwords. And it's always like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like 6 exclamation marks. Because why bother? Why bother? Like why, if my password is gonna change every 2 months? I don't know if any of you have gotten this email from AUS yet. You know that email you get that like counts down every day when your password's about to expire? Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know what I do? I change my password 5 times to 5 different passwords, and the last password is the same password I had last month. Like AUS is trying to do a good thing. They're trying to prevent you from having the same password you had as last month. I'm getting around it. I just changed the password 5 times because I'm lazy. I'm a person too. I don't want to remember a password every 3 months. So using these AI tools can, and I drifted off topic a bit, right? So as an attacker, you have the ability, your job is to research new ways to break into networks. Your job is to play the bad guy, but good guy on the inside. Bad guy on the outside, good guy on the inside. Your job is to break these defensive tools, break into these networks, find the flaws before the real bad guys do. And get all the reward for yourself. As a blue teamer, your job is to build tools and policies and alerts so that if the bad guys ever find a way in, you're gonna make their lives a living hell. Like, you're gonna make it such that like they can't go anywhere, they can't move, they can't even breathe without getting an alert and like stopping them in their tracks. Adham, I think you want to say something?
Yep. So okay, let's say I'm sold. I'm totally sold. But what you're saying, it's important.
Awesome.
It's critical. We need to learn it. But I'm a freshman. I have nothing. I have like in terms of skills. Maybe I did some Python in high school. Maybe MySQL or like some SQL if I'm lucky. But where do I get started? Like, so much information, so much to pick from. Where do I get started? You can do the offensive part if you wanna. If you don't wanna get into
I can do both. I think I can do both.
Where do I get started?
I just want to say, if you know some MySQL as a AUS freshman, you're already ahead of the pack. Yeah. This was. So yeah, let's talk about AUS. All right. A lot of the times, people mistake my, so like, if some of you are seeing me for the first time, or you're hearing about me for the first time, but some of you know that I usually talk about AUS and I say, oh, AUS courses are they're useless and you have to, no, okay. As a freshman, university's job is to provide you the basics so that you know what the world has to offer. Their job is not to tell you or teach you 100% what you're going to know. So as a freshman, believe in your university to give you at least a small taste of everything. It's like giving you a sip of everything. So follow through your university courses. Knowledge is never useless. Never. I swear to God, I was I was writing one of the biggest pieces of software we're going to use at my company, ctf.ae, and I just used something I learned in a course I took third year in university, operating systems. That at the time I was very arrogant. I was like, "What is this useless piece of information? Who is going to use this?" 2 years later, lo and behold, I ran into this problem, and I remembered. I took it with Dr. Ghassan, God bless his heart. No wait, Ghassan doesn't give OS. Who gives OS? I forgot.
Parlous.
Barless.
The legend.
Habibi. Yeah, legend. Yes, I remember like 2 years later, this piece of knowledge came back to help me where I needed it. It just clicked in my mind. I was like, oh my god, I can use this. I was a fool. I was a fool at the time for thinking that this knowledge, calling it basic, calling it outdated, calling it completely unrelated. I'm not going to be able to use this. Blah blah blah. Right.
It's the little rebellious soul inside all of us.
Yeah.
Mariam is asking, what if my university does not provide any?
Well, I'm now going to put you on track for the journey, as if your university does not exist. Let's say you drop out tomorrow. All right. And cybersecurity actually is one of those fields where you don't necessarily need a degree in any computer related field. Like I know some people that I follow on like Twitter or X now, whatever you want to call it. Like one of the greatest minds I've ever seen in cybersecurity. They have degrees. They have degrees at farming. Some of them are doctors. Like this guy used to be a doctor, and he's out here like being flown to the U.S. to talk about this AI-powered malware that he wrote that like bypasses every known antivirus to date. So like, it's one of those fields where it's just a way of thinking. So what resources, like what do you need? Let's break it down into pieces so that I don't, like go out of like I don't forget what I'm saying, right? Let's break it down into pieces. So first thing is, what do you need to learn? You need to know the basics of everything in computer. So you need to know some networking, some coding. So you don't need to be an expert. That comes with experience. That comes with experience. I'm not going to ask you to be a 5-star, skill in like everything. Some programming knowledge, some networking knowledge, and obviously you're going to learn cybersecurity concepts. So let's break it down. What are the resources that you have? For programming, most common question is, oh, what language do I learn? I would honestly recommend whatever language you want to start with. They're all okay. I was a JavaScript developer. By the time I entered AUS when I was a freshman, I knew Java. I've been writing JavaScript for 2 years. Then I discovered Python in a course at AUS. I resisted Python for many years while I was at AUS. I was like, no, JavaScript is the way to go. Then I took one course with Michel called Programming Languages, and he taught me Python, and that changed my life. Like ever since I took that course, I never looked at JavaScript again. I've been writing Python ever since. So in cybersecurity, most of the tools you'll run into are actually written in two languages: .NET, which is C# basically, or Python. Okay? So I would recommend Python as a starting programming language. Now let's talk about programming computer concepts. The problem is that like computer concepts, there's so much, right? There's so much. There's databases, and even in databases, there's SQL and non-SQL, and then even in SQL databases, there's like file-based, memory-based. So many. So how do you learn? How do you learn all these things, right? And that's just databases. You can talk about web frameworks. There's like a billion web frameworks. There's like a billion. How do you get started? You guys have the greatest pieces of resources, right? Adham, Allah, God bless him, he posted like him and a bunch of people on the group. If you're not in the SOC group and like you need a place for resources and knowledge, first off, this cybersecurity club at AUS, I wish this existed when I was in AUS. Okay, I was an IEEE member for 4 years, and like the maximum I could do was like 1 lecture a week, like sometimes 2 lectures a week. So the fact that you guys have a club that's dedicated to this is that's mind-blowing, mashallah. I wish only the best for the people running the SOC, the cybersecurity club, right? On the group, they posted a bunch of links for free resources. You guys have the internet. Just Google. Like I want to learn, I don't know. Today I'm feeling kind of fruity. I want to learn web frameworks. Just go open Google, Google web frameworks. Just go a YouTube video. But I'll point you in the right direction. For those of you who are serious about cybersecurity, you feel it in your heart. I want to do cybersecurity. Try Hack Me, okay? I say this every time. I think Adhan, you can remember you asked me this question like a year ago, and I just like hailed try hack me. It was like try hack me is the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah. Try hack
One
me.
guy's asking, what about Linux? You said programming and networking. What about Linux?
All right, operating systems. I completely forgot. Thank you. For operating systems, again, this is going to be a bit of a controversial take. You need to know a little bit of, so when we say Mac OS, by the way, like Mac OS, that's basically Linux with makeup on. Okay, it's Linux under the hood. Like if you open the terminal, that's a Linux terminal. So we're not going to consider Mac OS to be an operating system. You have Linux and Windows. I think that in order to be really good at cybersecurity, you need to have a deep understanding of Linux. Maybe not a deep understanding of Linux, but you need to be able to maneuver a command line. Because when you hack into a computer, you don't get this nice, we don't have these buttons that be like hack computer and you click, and then it's like generate report and you click. You're going to be put in the most hostile environments known to man. You just have a terminal, you have a CLI, okay, and like sometimes like when you hack like these old Windows computers, and you type ls and it's like command not found, suddenly you're crying like all my knowledge is down the drain, right? So you need to know a good understanding of Windows and Linux, both, because you're going to be hacking Windows computers most of the time, but you're going to be using Linux to hack those Windows computers. Thank you, Abdulaziz. I completely forgot that like I use technological terminology all the time. So yes, you need to also know some operating system as Linux, right? So like I said, try hack me. Try hack me is an amazing resource. You can start for free. Like if you right now, after hearing these like me like yapping for 40 minutes, okay, like if you're like curious about cybersecurity, sign up. If you're dead serious about cybersecurity, sign up. If you're bored and you're looking for something to fill up your time, sign up. You can go on Try Hack Me. They have this brilliant, well-organized pieces of information. You want to do SOC, you can do SOC. You want to do threat analysis, you can do threat analysis. You want to do forensics, you can do forensics. You want to do penetration testing, you can do penetration testing. You can even do red teaming. Red teaming is a more intense version of penetration testing. I can explain that if someone asks later, right? So Mariam asks, what are the different fields in cybersecurity? Good thing that you brought this up. So, like I said, they're split right down the middle. Red team, blue team. Red team is attacking, blue team is defending. In red team, you have penetration testing, you have red teaming, you have security, and I think that's pretty much the only fields that exist, pretty much like these two. And then blue team is where you have security engineer, SOC analyst, cyber, what do you call it? Cyber intelligence officers. I keep forgetting.
Forensics.
Yeah, forensics, incident response,
malware.
Malware analysis, like the whole. You can work in both, of course. So Mariam asks if you can work in both. Of course, no one's stopping you.
Yeah, you got purple team, yep. Yeah.
Purple teaming is interesting, but yeah, we can talk about that.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, you obviously been in the UAE market, right?
Yep.
So, and again, we've been talking about all of these different fields and stuff.
Yes.
So,
yes.
how's like the feasibility or like the demand on each one of these? Which one should I prefer from or like pick from an employability point of view? Salaries, government contracts, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. I would say, so thankfully, alhamdulillah, in my position, I had a job offer before I graduated. I was a senior student. I was working on my senior design, and I had a company walk up to me and they're like, hey, we want to hire you. And I was like, okay, I'm down, but like, let me finish my senior design.
Because you must have been impressed.
Yeah. And so a question is like, how did you impress these people, right? Did I spend like 3 hours making a nice CV with like emojis and everything? No, I just had experience. You need to put yourself out there. Join these competitions, by the way. These competitions, like October is coming up. There's going to be a bunch of competitions coming up in October. Just don't ask me how I know, right? I run a cybersecurity competition company, so I know. November, October, there's going to be a bunch of competitions. Jump in. Sign yourself up. Doesn't matter if you're going to fail. Doesn't matter if you're going to go last place. Your name is going to be on those competitions. There are scouts at those competitions. You can put it on your LinkedIn. Say, I participated in this competition.
Last place, I think we took a couple of people in here in this meeting for Google CTF.
Yeah.
I think in July, and
That,
we pretty much for 48 hours straight we did absolutely nothing. 10 people, 10 people. We tried like I think over 30 different challenges, and yeah, we just
yeah.
it's very depressing.
I mean, that's what happened to me, right? So, like in 2019, I won Cyber Battle of the Emirates, right? And I was like, oh, of course, I win every year, right? And then the next day, they were like, okay, we're gonna take you and your team. We're gonna put you up against the best teams around the world, the Pro CTF. And the very next day, we went to the Pro CTF, and we were like, oh, we got this. We're gonna be like 5th place. We were almost last place. We were before the last place. Like we were sitting surrounded by like professional people. You know, you have those Japanese people with like more screens, and I don't even know how they're looking at all the screens. And we were just sitting there. We didn't even understand what we were looking at. We're like, I've been doing CTFs for like what 3 years at the time. I'm looking at it, I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, I don't even know how to approach this. And it was still such a learning experience for us. So jump in those CTFs, jump in them. Wallah, it doesn't matter if you get last place 5 CTFs in a row. You will learn something. Every time you will learn something. And
that's how you learn in our field. You have to expose yourself to
exactly.
these and like just like dive right in.
100%. Exactly. And I think I was saying something else, right? I was saying
we're talking about the salaries and
right.
We have a question about here and abroad. So yeah, I think that comes with the salaries.
Sure. I think I'll answer this question and we'll just open the floor for Q&As because I kind of ran out of things to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the salaries, I would say that honestly, cybersecurity is extremely in demand. If you guys are paying attention to the statistics, every year the number of attacks get higher and higher, right? For example, there's a video game that I really like to play called Destiny 2. The servers have been down for like 2 weeks because of a DDoS attack. And the company doesn't know what to do. They're just like, we have a DDoS attack. We can't bring the servers up. So these, as more and more companies exist, and as more and more people make startups, and as more and more devices get connected to the world, cybersecurity will grow. There is always a company that needs a cybersecurity person, whether a blue teamer or a red teamer. Salaries are equal. I guess you would say that the traversal through the like how you get promoted is different. Like if you're a SOC analyst, you usually start at a level 3 analyst, and you become a level 2 analyst, and you become a level 1 analyst, then you become a senior analyst. And like, if you're a penetration tester, it's just, junior penetration tester, senior penetration tester, red team manager. I wouldn't worry too much about like these things because like you don't get promoted that quickly in cybersecurity, which is kind of a good thing because you need to have a severe amount of experience for you to be like called a senior cybersecurity. Can you imagine the responsibility that I'm afraid to call myself a senior cybersecurity consultant. Like I would be afraid. That's a lot of responsibility. So, and I've been working for 2 years now. So salaries, you will find that your salaries are, I would say, generally speaking, greater than your peers who will go into software engineering jobs. Of course, you're going to always have this, like I witnessed this in my batch, you're going to have those people who like during your 4 years at university, you felt like they didn't know what a computer was and they graduated not knowing what a computer was. And then like suddenly they're like some salesman at IBM and you're like, this guy doesn't know the difference between IBM, IMB, nothing. Okay. Poking fun at a few people I know, don't worry. But it's a very fulfilling job. At the end of the day, you can look at yourself and you can go to your parents and you can be like, today I did this, I did a change. This was broken and I fixed it and I prevented the bad guys from doing this. Or today I stopped a bad guy from doing this. It's instant, real impact on the world. It's not just sitting behind some desk somewhere, attending your 12th meeting for the week, building some piece of software that probably no one will take a look at for the next 2 years. So salaries, I would say better than average. Responsibilities, they tend to be more flexible, right? Like my company, I work from home, okay? Most of the time, I just came back from AD, right? Most of the time I work from home, I have flexible hours. So That might be specific to my company, but I honestly think that applies to most cybersecurity roles. And the competition, there's always jobs available. There's always jobs available. Now, that question about abroad, obviously, with most markets, I mean, again, the UAE is a very growing country, right? You have all these smart cities. That's like Expo, the city that they're building in Expo is going to open up soon, and that's like a whole interconnected smart city. If you're a local, the government, of course, will offer you a job. The government they are very, very heavily investing, mashallah alayhum, they are very heavily investing in cybersecurity. So if you're a local and you're looking for what career can I get into and like thrive in, I would 100% recommend cybersecurity, 100%. And you have so many different companies, like so many different organizations in the government that do cybersecurity. You have Desk, Dubai Electronic Security, something. You have SIA, Signal Intelligence Authority. You have ADQ, Abu Dhabi Quality.
I think they would take you as a fresh graduate, like many of the people assume.
100%, 100%. 100%. Like these
certification, everything, and like prepare you for everything.
Yeah. Like these competitions. Yeah, these competitions that they're doing, the government is making these competitions for what reason? For what reason? They're looking for youth. They're looking for youth to recruit. They're looking for those sharp youngsters who are, you don't even have to be winning. They're looking for people with passion. You love your job. You want to do your job. Ta'al. You want a certificate? No problem. You want a course? No problem. Okay. So I think we're going to open the floor right now for Q&A. Adham, I don't know how you want to do Q&A. You can go ahead, explain how you want to do it.
Okay, if someone wants to speak, you can raise your hand, or you can just type it in the chat.
Yeah, sure. I'll just start answering questions from top to bottom.
It'd actually be better if you speak. We want to hear your voices.
Yeah, sure.
And Tawfiq. Okay.
So I had a question. So like, I'm kind of like I do like a few like web apps and stuff, and I get like really scared, like about the backend or something, like some kind of attack. So like, what would you suggest is like the most important things to look at, like when you have an application?
All right. So you're talking about like when you're programming something, you're worried that you're gonna do some mistakes, right? Like you're gonna like I'm gonna do something vulnerable. I would say if you're building a backend, you need to look at it's called, I'll type it in the chat. Look at the OWASP Top-10. So this is OWASP is an organization that kind of catalogs all these possible vulnerabilities, and they release a top 10 every year. Go take a look at these top 10. Understand them, understand how they happen, and you should be able to 100% avoid them in your code. Right. I don't want to get into too much. Oh, you can use these static analysis tools that tell you if you have vulnerabilities. No. Just learn about the vulnerabilities. You'll immediately learn how to avoid them. By the way, the fact that you're writing backends already, this is such an unbelievably valuable skill for a penetration tester. Because in order to break something, if you know already how this thing works, you can immediately come up with ways to break it. There's two different types of lock pickers. A guy who used to be a locksmith, so he knows everything about locks, and a guy that just brings a sledgehammer and then just like swings at the lock and just like prays to see what happens. So just follow the OWASP top 10. You'll be writing great code in no time.
And that actually brings up how even other specializations would benefit from security. So whatever you're doing, a bit of security would make you a better candidate. We have a question: top 3 resources you recommended.
I think I'll just answer the ones in the chat, and then we'll start taking Q&As from people.
Yeah.
So if you have a question, just like hold on to it until I like finish the chat.
I have a question about Rust, a bit technical.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll up and let's see. What is my opinion on the usage of memory-safe languages like Rust for cyber attack? So Rust, the only thing that Rust protects you from is binary exploitation, so buffer overflow. That does not mean that Rust protects you from all the other kind of vulnerabilities. You have so many: command injection, whatever, template injection, SQL injection, everything injection, right? Business ideas that what do we call it? Business flow exploitation, something like that, where like if you can redeem infinite vouchers. right? So the root of the cause is bad code or a misunderstanding of code, right? So Rust just protects you from memory vulnerabilities, memory corruption, heap corruption, stuff like that. So it's great. It's fine. Like if you want to learn Rust, sure, go ahead. Like, yes, it is a more robust language. That doesn't mean you can't have vulnerabilities in a Rust-based application. Just FYI. Let's see what's next. What companies are leading in the industry? That is a question. That is the $1 million question. My boss would like to know the answer to this question. If you have the answer to this question, please send me your answers. I mean, there's like there's so many corporations out there that are competing to do the same thing. The market, like there's a new cybersecurity company every day, and like their names are always like so generic, like cyber hacking protection or like I hack, you fix, whatever. Like, you know, of course there's like these big companies like IBM, obviously, like Mandiant, like stuff like that. But like again, it doesn't really matter where you're working, right? There's just the job's the same.
Oftentimes, it's not a company. It's actually a military.
Yeah. Here in the UAE, you have Edge. Edge is a cybersecurity firm. I applied, but I got rejected because I'm not local. Edge is a military or Beacon Red, actually. Also, Edge and Beacon Red are the same thing.
You got the spirit, though.
Yeah, I tried. They approached me and they were like, "Can you do the aptitude test?" And I was like, "Okay," and I solved it. And I was like, "What now?" They're like, "Oh, you can't apply." I was like, "All right, wasted 5 minutes of my life." Top 3 resources you could recommend to learn. Okay, I'll type this in the chat. Okay. I feel like I'm joking. I actually have a couple of YouTube channels that I recommend. There's Live Overflow on YouTube. There is Spoon Function. I always recommend Spoon Function. And
also, one thing I want to add is in our field, most of the resources are free. At least when you're starting.
Yep,
100%. So don't get caught into some scam or buying some course.
Yeah, like $350 course.
Yeah. Thinking that it will give you some secret knowledge that you cannot obtain otherwise. You can go really, really, really in depth with just the free stuff.
So I think Live Overflow has these playlists where he explains 100% like something from start to finish. And his newer videos are like something you just like watch while eating and he'll just explain something. Poon Function, literally every video is dedicated to explaining a certain vulnerability. That's great. John Hammond is more of this like, hey, let's do this together, and like he'll walk you through how you solve something, how you do something. Amazing again. Like, so let's say
we forgot that certifications. Certifications.
Yeah. Okay. Certifications is a very dramatic topic in the cybersecurity field. Okay. Like everybody has a different opinion. Some people will tell you absolutely necessary. Some people will tell you, like my boss, when I got hired, I have the OSCP, the Offensive Security Certified Pen Tester, right? It's a 24-hour hacking exam. And like they give you 5 machines and you have to hack 4 out of the 5 machines to pass, or like something like that, right? I took it. First off, certifications are expensive, very expensive. Second of the time, I told my boss, like when he was hiring me, I was like, hey, I have OSCP. He was like, I don't care. I was like, thank you. I wasted like $300 trying to get this certificate. So some companies care. Like if you go on LinkedIn and you look for jobs, they'll be like, oh, OSCP preferred. Honestly, most of these certifications, the personal issue I have with these certifications is that they're multiple choice questions. Like the CISP, the CISSP, and like CompTIA Plus, and like all this, it's just a multiple choice exam. It's like 50 questions of multiple choice. The only exam where I actually had to hack something to prove that I know what I'm talking about is the OSCP. So like I would recommend getting the OSCP. You don't have to, but if you want to, like you want to have a professionally recognized something international, 100% OSCP. CompTIA and stuff like that. Yes, some companies. Here's the thing: the problem is the person who's going to look at your CV is an HR manager. They don't know anything about cybersecurity, right? There's so it depends. They're just going to look and be like certifications. So Again, lots of drama happening in the cybersecurity field about certifications. I would recommend the OSCP. Everything else, if you have the money and the time for it, go ahead, but you don't need to.
So like I think Asma is asking for the education value. Like should she, for example, go and take Security Plus or like A Plus just to learn about these concepts?
Absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not. You're not going to learn anything useful in Security Plus or ctf.ae Plus. Trust me. Again, I only OSCP did teach me some things because it's practical. The OSCP was practical. Like they give you a lab for like 90 days, 100 days, and like you go in and you have a VPN. They give you a whole book. It's like 200 pages of like how to hack stuff. Again, OSCP 100%. Like imagine reading a PDF that tells you how to break into a Windows machine versus reading in a book. What is the difference between a worm and a virus? And then like you have a multiple choice question to be like, oh, A, worms replicate. B, viruses are found in human beings. So, come on, what is this, man? Like, of course you're gonna learn something useful, but like it's just not gonna be as useful as practical knowledge, right? What's the main reason why us as students sometimes we feel a disconnect with professors? Probably because the last time a professor did something practical was when they graduated, which is like a billion years ago. So like you need to stay practical. You need to stay connected to the field.
One thing I would add, maybe I would disagree a bit with you.
Sure.
You could use, instead of like going for the certification itself, you could use the syllabus as a guide to measure where you are at. So for example, read the syllabus and see, do I know all of these topics? Have I done any hands-on work with these topics before? Like maybe right now, even like when you're taking, for example, computer networks at AUS, go check the Network Plus syllabus, CompTIA Network Plus, see what they offer. You'll find lots of overlap, and that's good. You can see like you're progressing and measure your performance based on the certifications.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Mariam asks, is it too late now to start as a senior of university? It's never too late, honestly. It's never too late. Like I'm not going to give you an answer where you're like, oh, it's too late. Submit yourself to the life of software engineering. No. Okay, it's never too late. All right. Like those 4 years that you spent at university, you learned something. Okay, like even if you just learned the layout of your university, that counts as some knowledge. Right. It's just follow the same resources as everybody else. No problem. Just the most important thing is not to tell yourself that you can't do it. The moment you tell yourself you can't do it, you're not going to do it. Okay. So just, you can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. Okay. I spent like the first 20 minutes talking about my achievements. I'm telling you, you can do it. So you have to do it. Okay. There's no other way around it. Regarding my work-life balance, do you have a set scheduled routine that you follow, or do you wing it? Let's see. If I'm honest, I will give them a bad impression. If I lie, I will be lying. What do I do?
We need transparency.
Okay. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Here's what I do. I have an assignment. It's a web application. I'm sitting at my computer. I have 3 screens here. I have a nice gaming computer, okay? I scan the application. I work for like the first 2 hours of the day. And then I have a software called Burp Suite, right? And like once I have enough knowledge, I just hit scan. And I know that the scan is going to take at least 5 or 6 hours. I put the scan on my monitor here. I open my video game here. I open my YouTube here. And I just sit. I have one eye on the scan every once in a while. I'm playing FIFA. I'm playing Call of Duty. I'm playing whatever I want to play. And I'm working. If at any point in time someone wants to pull me into a meeting, sure. I get pulled into meetings all the time. I have to be like, oh my God, I have to attend this meeting. Can't believe I have to pause my game. I have to go into the meeting and sit for an hour like in my chair, just like this, just waiting for the meeting to end. And I'm like, oh, back to my game I go. But oftentimes you have a deadline, right? The client gives you this and like, hey, I want you to test this. You have until Thursday. Sometimes, some days I'll just like, I'll just like kind of not really do anything at all, which is not great, obviously, because you try to do things as fast as possible, right? And some days I work from the start of the day, 9 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. all day. I'm interested. I'm hacking into a network, right? And you just get pulled into it. Yeah, that's it. So I would say work-life balance is great, right? The work never leaves, never follows you home unless you want it to. If you're interested in the assignment that's given to you, you can spend as long as you want on it. If you're not interested, just do your job. You scan, you test. It's fun. It's fun. I often find it fun. I'm never sitting in front of my computer just like, like hating my life, looking at the clock, waiting for it to go 5 p.m. so I can like forget everything I know. No. It's very relaxing, I would say. Although I would say it more depends on the management. If you have a not so great boss, you're not gonna have a not so great time. All right, let's see. How does penetration testing work? Okay, I'm gonna try to answer this as fast as possible because the questions are getting longer. My answers are getting longer. Penetration testing works by you are given a web application. You already know how to break web applications. That's what's expected of you. You study the web application. Oh, I have a login page. I have a register page. Oh, when I register, an email comes to me. Oh, when I get two-factor authentication on my phone when I try to log in, and like with experience, you already start to point out things. You start to notice things. Oh, the login page has no captcha. I'm going to keep that in mind. That's actually a flaw. We put that in the report. Lack of captcha, because then I can try to log in a million times. And then you'd be like, oh, you just start asking yourself questions. Like like let's say Talabat, for example. But let's say you want to do penetration testing on Talabat. Let's assume you're allowed to. First thing I would do, you know how they give you referrals? Like this referral code, and like you get like 15 dirhams off your next order. Can I script this? Can I cause Talabat to lose money by somehow writing Python code that creates like 20 accounts and I just keeps redeeming that would be a flaw. That would be a business flaw. You'd write in the report how you did it. Can I type? Can I guess? Is there any way I can guess if a code is valid, or is there a check? Am I going to get timed out eventually? You just start asking these security questions, and you start applying them. Eventually, like in the beginning, I would say, like in the beginning, I was very nervous. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to miss out on anything. I just Googled top things to look out for when pen testing web app, and I had like 20 tabs open. I'm like, oh, did I check for this? Let's check for this. Then eventually you get experience and you already know the questions in your head. Like I said, pen testing is you versus the person who wrote this app. Who's going to win? Are you going to win? Or is the person who wrote the app going to win? This is a personal game of chess. Right? I would say. I really liked your Raspberry Pi demo at GSEC. Thank you. Any plans for GSEC 2024? Yes. That is all I will say. I'm not going to be giving a talk at GSEC. Maybe I will. I don't know. But do I have plans for GSEC? Yes, I do. Wait for GSEC to come around. SANS, of course. Of course, someone has to bring up SANS. So SANS is great, but SANS is kind of like the AUS of cybersecurity, where like normal courses cost you $200, $300, and SANS costs $3,000 to get a certificate. Now, would I say that the SANS certificate is more valuable than the $200 course? I wouldn't say so. SANS is very controversial. They're too expensive. They're too expensive. Like the world is filled with free information. Don't bother. Do I have an idea of the skills or knowledge in web development that are useful in the field of cybersecurity? Anything. Web development, the whole thing. Learn any language you want. You want to learn Java, ASP, you want to learn JavaScript. Websites out there are built in every kind of language and framework known to man. So I'm not going to ask you to dip your toe into everyone. Pick one, master it, and then use the fact that you mastered this framework to slowly understand the differences between this framework and like all the other languages. Like there's a difference between Java and ASP.NET. There's a difference between Python and JavaScript, right? Is CS or COE better for cybersecurity? I get this question all the time. Let's see. I did COE. Honestly, I would say CS. With the way the university is going, I would say CS. COE, you're going to do electronics 1, electronics 2, you're going to do circuits, all this hardware stuff. You're not a hardware hacker. By the way, hardware hackers do exist. Like there's a branch of hacking that's just hardware. Like they take a look at circuits and they'll be like, if I connect this pin to this pin, I will bypass this chip and I will, you know. So if you want to do, if you're interested in hardware, go COE. If you want to stick closer to cybersecurity, I would say take CS. Sure. As an electrical major, is it possible to get into cyber? Yes, 100%. If you don't know what I'm looking into, I'm looking into my mic here. Oh, I pulled my camera too far. I'm just whispering into my mic. Let me just keep my mic here. Sure, why not? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Any specific forums or communities you recommend to get help from if you have doubts? The SOC group, WhatsApp group, because I'm there. You can ask me questions anytime. I don't mind. I love answering questions. And I would say Reddit, r/hacking, r/security, r/cybersec, Reddit in general. I don't really have any other forums, I guess. Do you need an expensive MacBook to work in cyber? No. Take it from a person who did get an expensive MacBook. It's nice. I like my MacBook. I love my MacBook. Is it necessary? No. Macs are just nice, I guess. You guys are freshmen. You might not have the budget. I bought my MacBook with the money I got from competition, so you don't have to start with one. Yeah, like Adam said, the basic laptop was 16 in 2023. We're recommending 16 now.
We're sticking to the basics.
Sticking to the basics? Yeah, sure. Why not? Sheikh asks how to take part in the next CyberQuest. Yeah, that's the depressing part. CyberQuest stopped existing. So they're trying to bring it back. We're trying to convince them to bring it back. Like when they see us, like when I meet with His Excellency, the Minister of Cybersecurity, right? Every time I tell him, you have to bring CyberQuest back. That's what made us. I know a bunch of people. We're like the success story of CyberQuest. How successful, how great it was. We keep telling them to bring them back. Maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe I think they might. Don't take my word for it. But be hopeful. Have some hope.
And we do have CBTC if they're interested.
Yeah. You can talk about. I think telling them about CPTC might scare them a bit. I was scared when I heard about CPTC. Is Selenium helpful? Yeah, any knowledge is helpful. How to build a computer is helpful. Having good Excel knowledge is helpful. No, anything is helpful in cybersecurity. Why not? Many asks, do you need any hardware background for cybersecurity? Absolutely not. Omar asks how to get into hardware hacking. Good question. There was a website actually that taught you this. I forgot. Just search hardware hacking or like microcontroller hacking actually. Thing about hardware hacking is that it's kind of hard to get into because it's expensive. You need to buy the chips and the tools and everything, and like you need to have a multimeter, and like you need to pull out a motherboard. So, is MBA good for security? If yes, how much RAM? What? Masters of Business, a MacBook Air. Oh my God! Thank God! I was so confused. Don't buy a MacBook Air. Why are you buying a MacBook Air? That thing can barely open 2 tabs of Chrome without combusting. Don't get a MacBook Air. As this is just a general electronics enthusiast advice. Get a MacBook Pro. Why are you getting a MacBook? Like the only thing you're going to be doing with a MacBook Air is writing essays for your writing courses. Anything more than that, and I think you've exhausted the usage of the laptop.